Naval Ravikant is an interesting millionaire, famous for founding AngelList and being an early investor in Uber and Twitter. His reading list is remarkable. He doesn't care about specific genres of books. If the book's interesting, he's reading it.
I was raised by a single mom in New York, and she used the local library as a daycare center because it was a very tough neighborhood. And so she would basically say, when you get back from school, go straight to the library and don't come out until I pick you up late at night. So I used to basically live in the library, and I read everything. I read every magazine. I read every pictograph. I read every book. I read every map. I just ran out of stuff to read. I just read everything.
In this video, we'll look at 12 unique books that Naval Ravikant recommends. So sit back, relax, and watch till the end, because I think having book number 8 on this list is almost unfair. How to Change Your Mind: What the New Science of Psychedelics Teaches Us About Consciousness, Dying, Addiction, Depression, and Transcendence by Michael Pollan. Naval thinks this is a brilliant book everyone should read. Author Michael Pollan spent 2 years exploring the world of psychedelics and shares his own experiences with LSD and psilocybin, which is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms. He interviews medical experts and neuroscientists and even has a life-changing spiritual experience exploring this world of psychedelics. A must-read. Book number 2, The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Naval really reads about a wide variety of topics, which is evident in this book recommendation, which is a collection of 26 fables of poetry. First written in 1923, this book has been translated to over 100 languages. It touches on the themes of life, suffering, and spirituality. Naval thinks everyone should read this book, whether you are religious or not. If you're looking for something different, give this book a try. Book number 3, The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. The news is forever negative. Social media is full of doom and gloom. You think the world's ending tomorrow. Matt Ridley argues in his book that life is actually getting better. His book covers human history from the Stone Age all the way to the modern age of the internet, and makes the point that food availability, income, and lifespan are all up throughout the world. Violence is down. Africa and Asia are coming out of poverty, and globally being connected by phones, the internet, and shipping containers is making people's lives better. If you need a dose of positivity in a pessimist world, give this one a read. Book number 4, Reality is Not What It Seems: The Journey to Quantum Gravity by Italian physicist Carlo Rovelli. This is a book about the universe and the questions you've always wanted to know. What is time and space? What is reality? Rovelli takes the reader on a journey from the time of Aristotle to present day and explores how our idea of the world and the universe has changed. Naval calls this one of the best books he's ever read. It's physics, poetry, philosophy, and history, all packaged in a very accessible form. I've added this book on my reading list, and I recommend you do it too. Superintelligence: Paths, Dangers, and Strategies by Nick Bostro. If you want to know more about the possible risks and dangers posed by artificial intelligence, you should read this one. Humans have one of the most developed brains in the animal kingdom. But what happens when machine brains surpass human intelligence? Would the rise of machine intelligence save humanity or destroy it? This is definitely not a light read, but one to consider if you are concerned about the rise of machines and artificial intelligence.
Over this idea of that reading a large number of books or reading a book to completion as a vanity metric. Because really, when people are putting up photos on Twitter or Instagram of look at my pile of books that I'm reading, it's a show-off thing. It's a signaling thing.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And the reality is I would rather read the best 100 books over and over again until I absorb them rather than read all the books.
Right.
Yeah, because your brain has finite information, in finite space. You get enough advice, it all cancels to zero.
Book number 6, The Network State by Balaji Srinivasan. Naval has called Srinivasan one of the most brilliant thinkers alive, and his book, The Network State, has an interesting premise. Can you start a country from a computer? What if this country recruits like a startup? Is decentralized? Would it be a better model for democracy? Inspired by Bitcoin and decentralization, the author proposes a novel idea of a network state and discusses everything that involves in making it a viable option for the future. Book number 7, Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. This is one of the only fiction books on the list, but it's quite an interesting one. Naval calls it the best cyberpunk novel ever written. First published in 1992, this book was way ahead of its time. It's set in a future dystopian LA where the government has given up its power to a bunch of corporations and entrepreneurs. We follow the adventure of a hacker who spends his time between the real world and a virtual world called, guess what, the metaverse. I'm not kidding. Make sure you check this book out if you haven't. It's definitely a mind-bending read. Book number 8, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Naval Ravikant. This book is written by Naval's brother, and that's why it's almost cheating to have him on this list. But Naval Ravikant is equally impressive and unique in his own way. He's meditated with monks in the Himalayas, served as a U.S. Army soldier. He's walked 550 miles across Spain and co-founded several companies and venture capital firms in the Silicon Valley. His book draws on his own life experiences, his successes, his failures, including meditation tips, and really focuses on how one of the most important things you can do is love yourself. Book number 9, The Sovereign Individual, Mastering the Transition to the Information Age, is a book that was first written in 1997, but it does a great job about predicting our world and the upcoming future. Our transition to an information-based society is dubbed by the authors as the fourth stage of human society. They have an interesting prediction about the upcoming future, one where individuals are more independent and have more freedom and power than ever before, thanks to technology. But there's also some negative impacts of these technological advances, such as the decline of nation-states, rise in cyber warfare and cybercrime, and a different financial system as we know it. Read this book if you want a unique perspective on how the world may shape up and what role you could play in it.
So I don't read anymore to complete books. I read to satisfy my genuine intellectual curiosity. And it can be anything. It could be nonsense. It could be history. It could be fiction. It could be science. It could be sci-fi. These days it's mostly sci-fi, philosophy, science, because that's just what I'm interested in. But I will read for understanding. So a really good book, I will flip through. I won't actually read it consecutively in order, and I won't even necessarily even finish it. I'm looking for ideas, things that I don't understand. And when I find something really interesting, I'll reflect on it, I'll research it, and then when I'm bored of it, I'll drop it or I'll flip to another book.
Book number 10, Wind, Sand, and Stars by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. At first glance, this is a book about flying, but once you start reading it, it is so much more than that. Written originally in French, the author was a pioneer of commercial aviation and a pilot in World War II. His book captures the isolation of flying, the dangers and the grandeur of flying. Written in a lyrical style, this book talks about adventure, philosophy, war, and the human experience. It's one of Naval's favorite books, and he quotes it all the time. Book number 11, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. There's not much I can say about this hugely influential classic, but first published in 1865, Lewis Carroll's classic is about a young girl named Alice who falls down a rabbit hole and discovers a fantasy world. We all think we know the story, but have you actually read the book? Naval thinks you should read it, so this is your chance to go check it out. Book number 12, The Art of Manipulation, How to Get What You Want Out of People in Business, in Your Personal Life, and in Your Love Life. Perhaps the most rare book on this list. This book was first published in 1978 and is a hard book to get your hands on, with some copies of this book going as high as $800. This book exposes how 5% of people manipulate the other 95% of people in society. It talks about how they operate to make you aware of scams or make you aware of when you are being manipulated. And hey, if you're up for it, it even teaches you how you can manipulate others. A one-of-a-kind book for sure. If you can get your hands on a copy, check this one out. If you've made it this far in the video, we have a bonus book recommendation for you. Based on the hit TV show, the Rick and Morty comic books are surprising entry number 13 on this list. The comics feature the same Rick and Morty from the TV show. However, they are from a different dimension in the books. If you're a fan of the show, you'll find that these books are just as clever as the show. They round up our top 13 unique and unusual books recommended by Naval Ravikant. Please let me know in the comments below which of these books you've already read or plan to check out. Also, if there's any other book recommendations by Naval that you recommend I check out, comment below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.